Servant of the Shard is a 2000 novel by R.A. Salvatore and is the first book in the Sellswords, though it was originally published as Book 3 in whatever the name of that other series is that has Spine of the World, Sea of Swords, and whatnot. I don't really care at this point. Anyways, this begins with Intruri being edgy and cool and forcing off thieves with his blade and just the sight of his blade, and angry luncheon goers with his stare. It's pretty tough. Ooh. He gets to meet with an informant. He's interested in Karen's claw, and he gets pretty much no information. So that seems like a waste of time. But the reader gets some information, I guess. And then we have an introduction by Drizzt, ruminating in his layman's philosophy on evil. Even admits that drow aren't pure evil, obviously. But bravo, I'm surprised, Drizzt. I'm surprised Salvatore you really say something like that. But then it turns to the Crystal Shard, which is still with the story after so many books, apparently. Anyways, chapter 1 then gives us Dwavel Tiggerwillies. Terrible name. Anyways, I'm not even sure how to insult that name. That's just so bad. She is a halfling that runs the Copper Ante. She knows Intruri is working as the front, pretty much, for the new drow presence in Kalimport, led by Jarlaxle. The obnoxious and odd leader of Bregendarth is, of course, around too. We also catch up a bit with Morik the Rogue in Luskan. And then there's just a line. It wasn't everyone on the streets of Kalimport basically manipulator. I don't know. It sounds a little Orientalist. I won't get too much into that, though. There is a comment, actually, also that says ego and id, which seems super out of place in a Forgotten Realms novel. But what's also out of place? All the talking. Okay, I normally criticize Salvatore for having way too many and way too long fights. The first half of this book is largely talking and intrigue. I like the action when it's utilized well, and I think he goes too much the other way this time around, and it is boring. I suppose I don't really care about Salvatore's evil characters. By the Nine Hells, I don't really care for his good ones either, but the Drow and the Bassadoni Guild and any other number of factions are really just not what I was wanting. At least not wanting it from Salvatore. Most any author would do it better than he does, and to make it worse, since that is something that is fine, if not good, in the short run. But once again, we have the same MacGuffin as we've had before, the Crystal Shard. It's not even a good one. Sure gives us some gruesome reading, heavily supplemented by the Drow, terrible as Salvatore always makes them, which I am, kind of for in sword and sorcery fashion, but not in some pointless, gratuitous, overly grim and dark way. At one point, I even got nauseous. Like, it's just too much. At least the fight scenes I can just skip through pretty much because I know exactly how they're going to end. Anyways, what kind of name, though, also is Rye Guy, or Ray Guy, as I'm assuming how you say it? That's a terrible name. I don't understand. These names are awful. Anyways, and the story is much more on Intruri than it is actually on Jarlaxle. Sadly so, in some ways. Intruri feels trapped by the Drow. He wants a way out to be his own man. He's sick of the Drow. Me too. Oh, and Catterley this and Catterley that. Man-made and uber-powerful cleric in the worst series I've read in the realms, and now is part of Salvatore's unique spin on it. I'm glad in a way Salvatore is doing his own thing. I don't have to suffer through it when I read other realms books by any other author, because Salvatore just doesn't care about lore. He's terrible for it. So, anyways, I'm obviously very frustrated with it at this point, but I still have more to say. So we are introduced to Karen's Claw, another magical item that is not the Crystal Shard, but likely doomed to show up forever. I know there is a book actually considerably after this one called Karen's Claw in Neverwinter Saga. And then we have, with Rye Guy, we have his fellow Lieutenant Camuriel, also with Bon Ra, Bagurian, Bergignon, whatever their names are. And then we have Hephaestus as a name for something. I'm not going to spoil it for you. It's pretty lame, though. And then nice to see a lantern, I guess, that bears a certain resemblance to one from the Lost Caverns of Sojkanth. There is lots of fighting, of course. This is mostly to the back half of the book. At the end, definitely works as an ending. It definitely doesn't work as a standalone mind. Read all the Drizzt before, probably, and I'd probably read the Cleric Quintet too, which I can't really recommend. Personally, I can't recommend most of the Drizzt books, and I can't recommend almost any of the Cleric Quintet books. So beware. If you're a Salvatore fan, you're not going to have any problems with this, and you'll probably hate me. So anyways, I guess that there is some setup for more adventures of the duo Jarlaxle and Intruri, and hopefully those are better than this one. I feel like they could be, so we'll see. I'm going to have to read it anyways. I took an oath. Foolish.